Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday, everyone. I am Julie Riley, the social media manager here at StreamYard, and I am with my wonderful host or co-host, Christian. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So good to see you, Julie. And I'm glad we're, here with another episode of Learn with StreamYard.
Yes, I am super excited for today's guest. Today's guest has actually been a long-time friend of mine, somebody I've had the privilege to work with in other aspects. I've taken some of my own lessons from of how to do Pinterest better. And Pinterest is one of those kind of underrated tools in the social media industry that a lot of times people are like, but that's the recipes and the crafting over there. And I have learned that it is so much more beyond all of that. And it really is a huge opportunity for businesses and growth and traffic. So I'm super excited. If you are watching in the Facebook group, make sure that you have clicked the link in the description of the post so that we can see your name. Otherwise, all I'm going to see is Facebook user and I cannot say hello. I want to know who you are and I want to say hi. I see that we've got Mike and Michael and Varma, Lauren. So I'm so excited for everybody. Tell me where you are watching from. And what plans do you have this weekend, guys? I mean, it's Friday. If you're watching in Australia, it's already Saturday. It's late. So we've got our people on the other side of the world as well. But the weekend's here. So I want to know what you got going on this weekend.
Definitely, yeah. And well, actually, I want to say one more thing real quick, Julie. Like while people are telling us where they're tuning in from, if they're on Pinterest, we want to know about that. So let us know. Are you on Pinterest? Yes or no in the comments.
Yeah. And if you don't know, StreamYard is on Pinterest now. We have launched our Pinterest channel. We've got a lot of our blog content going there, our YouTube content, and I'm very excited to continue to be growing that channel. It is about 2 weeks old, maybe 3 weeks old at this point. So it's a baby channel. But we're super excited to grow it. And I'm excited to learn even more from Jeff in order to grow it better.
Definitely, yeah. So let's go and bring on Jeff and let's kick things off.
Yeah.
So Jeff, it's fantastic having you join us for this episode of Learn with StreamYard. I'm going to let you, maybe Julie could do the intro or maybe just do your own intro.
Yeah, Jeff, why don't you introduce yourself? I mean, who can do it better than yourself?
Oh, well, hey, I'm Jeff C. And I've been, I started mainly Pinterest tips back in the day. I want to give a shout out to my friend Michael Daniels, who said in the comment, he goes, he loves this guest. Well, I love you right back, Michael. Michael is a friend of mine. So I mentioned, I started the mainly Pinterest tip show back on Google Plus, and that's where I met Michael. We were in a Google Plus Hangout training group together. He does this awesome game show where he plays games. I think it's every week on Fridays that I've been a part of before. Love his group to death. But yeah, so that's how far back I've been doing live streaming and podcasting and Pinterest. I started back in the day. What happened is I was doing social media for clients here. I had a digital agency here in Longview, Texas, and I actually started doing social media for my clients. It's like, well, if I'm telling my clients to do this, I kind of need to do it too. And I listened and I heard Cynthia Sanchez was a lady who did Pinterest, and she said how it could grow your blog. And so I started doing that, and it really kicked off my blog. I started getting a lot of views. I wrote an article called Manly Pinterest Tips #1, and I talked about how I created a secret board with my daughter. That blew up, and so we decided to do a live show. That led to a podcast. That led to speaking gigs. That led to all sorts of things, and I can trace it all back to that little live video that I did over on Google Plus and that blog article. So that's me.
Fantastic. Yeah. And by the way, I'm seeing a lot of comments from people that are saying, hey, I started a Pinterest account. I don't use it for much. Or they're saying, hey, you know what? I started a Pinterest account and, they're like wanting to learn more. So I'm really excited about this week's show. But yeah, Julie, we got some great comments here, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm just kind of cycling through them, saying hello to everybody. I love everyone that's here and spending your Friday afternoon with us.
Yeah.
So I would love to know from you, Jeff. First of all, why should somebody be on Pinterest?
Well, people always ask that question, and I really and I do a show with a Tailwind, which is a Pinterest partner, and we are always like, why don't people use Pinterest? Is it so hard for people to use it? Because it drives so much traffic. There is nothing like long-term traffic from Pinterest. This is the gift that keeps on giving. I have blog and content that when I first started that still gets traffic because those pins get circled every once in a while. So for long-term traffic, nothing beats Pinterest, because like Twitter or Facebook, you post something and it's gone in like minutes. I think the shelf life of a Pinterest pin is like 3 months, and I have a lot that go a lot greater than that. So if you are, there's a lot of bloggers who utilize it. It's kind of like this secret thing. There is an industry report from one of our friends, Julie, that just came out not very long ago. And this year they didn't even mention Pinterest. They put Snapchat back in, and I'm going, what? Are you kidding me? Because it's not really, if you think about it, it's really not a social platform. It is a visual search engine. Mm-hmm. And so once you can kind of wrap your mind around it, it's more like Google than it is Facebook. Then you can really start seeing some traction there.
Yeah. I always equate it for me as, and of course there is video option in there, but the static version of YouTube. I'm going to go over to YouTube to search all of that. And then I'm going to go to Pinterest to search where I can stop on a picture and then go, I want to know more about that.
Right. Yeah.
And they're also obviously, Pinterest also gets into the visual side of things as well. They've got some fantastic tools built in their app now where, for example, you want to figure out something that's in a photo, for example, or in this case, it could be a still of a video. You take a photo with the Pinterest app and it will actually tell you other things that are similar to that as well. Mm-hmm. So it's got, as you mentioned, it's very similar to Google, and that it can actually help you identify things or recommend also alternatives as well. So
and if you sell products, it's a no-brainer because it ties in really well with third-party tools like Shopify, where you can actually have dynamic pins. So if you have like a Black Friday sale and you drop your price, if you have it tied in to your Shopify account, it'll actually lower that price, and then it'll dynamically change when that sale is over. Or if it's in stock or not, it will tell you that on the pin. So for e-commerce, it is just a no-brainer to be on.
Yeah. I want to take a quick second and clarify. I've seen a couple comments of people saying, I'm so excited that Pinterest and StreamYard are together. We are not together. StreamYard is not streaming into Pinterest. There is maybe down the road that possibility. But at this time, that is not what this is. So what we want to teach you today is how to take your stream and use that content to continue to drive traffic to it, to maybe promote it before, to promote your channels, your blogs, all of those pieces to continue to generate that traffic and build your brand beyond your live stream.
Mm-hmm. And to Jeff's point, he talked about this earlier. He said he still gets traffic to a lot of items that are on Pinterest. And that's basically because it's evergreen content. If you think about it, it's content that is going to like it's not a tutorial about a feature that came out on Facebook, for example, in 2000, for example. You're going to still generate some traffic, but then you're going to generate a lot more questions and challenges from people. It's about taking your existing live streams and being able to put them out there and, generate some leads off of it, and basically squeeze more out of the content.
Right. And video is becoming more and more important part of Pinterest. And so I'm sure we're going to get in that later today, but it's a great place to repurpose some of your content. I will say right off the top, I wouldn't throw my whole show up there. Like I would not take this show after we're done and just upload it to Pinterest. It's not going to work like that. It's more of think of it more of like a stories or a reels kind of content that you want to use there that tells a story. And we'll get into that later. But so it's a great place. There's no way to go in with the API now live to Pinterest. Hopefully that will come. And because they're loving video so much, I've got my fingers crossed, and I have a feeling that may be on the radar in the future. But for now, we're going to be talking, like Julie said, how can you take the stuff that you're already making with your live show and get more viewers, get that content out there, and maybe more subscribers to your live show or into your YouTube channel or whatever wherever that lives later, and using Pinterest to help that evergreen process.
Yeah. So let's kind of go through, where does somebody begin? From kind of starting and going, okay, I've got my blog content, I've got my video content. I don't have a Pinterest, or maybe I do and I've never really used it. What do I do with this chunk of content over here to get it over here and make it start working?
Yeah, so Pinterest is a digital pin board. And one of the first things you want to do is when you start using this, you want to make it a business account. And it's seamless. If you've had a personal account for years and you want to switch it over, it's seamless. I was really nervous when I first started because I had a lot of followers. And I was like, what happens if I switch? It's seamless. You click a button and it switches it over. The thing that you get with a Pinterest business account is you get access to analytics, which are really, really cool. They have a really robust set of analytics there over on Pinterest. And also you have access to Pinterest advertising, which is becoming more and more important. A lot of people are taking some of their Facebook ad buy and moving it onto Pinterest because they're seeing the results with that evergreen content as well. So that's the biggest thing. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you set up, as a business account. And then you want to set up boards. So everything's categorized in Pinterest as boards. So for me, I have like an instant Instagram tips board. I have like a Facebook tips board. So because I do a lot of social media stuff, but I also do personal stuff. So I have like a woodworking board and some other things on there. The cool thing about boards is they can actually rank on Google. So I mentioned that instant Instagram tips board that I have. That if you search instant Instagram tips, last I checked, my board came up, and it's a board I share with Peg Fitzpatrick, came up like at the top of the search results, which is huge. So there's keyword optimization. There's SEO that you need to do on Pinterest. You don't want to keyword stuff, but you want to make sure you fill out all those fields when you're creating your boards. Think about some really, don't just say like stuff I like. That's not really a good SEO title for a board. A lot of people do that on their personal ones. It doesn't work when you're starting to do business things. So think of some keyword rich boards that you can maybe do in search. It's just like Google. Start typing in the search, see what comes up, and then optimize your board for that search term. And then make sure you fill out the descriptions just like you would on a pin that you're making.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I do have a question about that. So is there any way, do we have any examples that you maybe could provide? Maybe we could take an existing live stream maybe and kind of break that down.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what, what I do for my show. So
okay,
everything starts with a transcript. So I have a transcript as soon as my show's done, and I use a platform called a script. I love it. Mm-hmm. I take it, I put it up there, I put all my guest names in there, and I get a great transcript. I use that, and I take that and I make clips. So usually a good question and an answer is usually about 2 or 3 minutes, which is perfect for me. So I take that and I clip it up and I do some, graphics and some stuff like that. And I have a piece of great content that I can share out on social. So I have that piece that I have out for social. Then I also go ahead and crop that in to make it a vertical pin, because that's what works on Pinterest is instead of 16 by 9, it's 9 by 16. And I make that for my Instagram as a short little clip that I can put up there for stories. And I'll get to that a little bit later, but that's what I usually start with is I take those clips, I edit them down and start breaking them down outside of a transcript for that to upload to Pinterest. YouTube can also, if you look on the share button on your YouTube videos, you can also share those on Pinterest. They used to play natively inside of the Pinterest app. They no longer do that. I just tested it. But they open really quick to YouTube. So it's still, if you have a YouTube, I still think it's worth it having a board for just your YouTube videos that you put up there that people can use. And I talked to Julie about that when we were doing some Pinterest consulting about StreamYard earlier. That's what just so you have them. I don't know, a lot of people don't go and just watch videos on Pinterest. Sometimes they do, but it's a nice place you can direct people to have a board of all your videos. And I do that for that. The newest thing that is really, really popular and people are finding a lot of success with are what was just until this week called story pins. And they were actually little pieces of content. It's like Instagram stories or reels or something like that Pinterest was having, and it rolled out to a select group of people. Now it's open to everybody, and it's not called story pins anymore. It's called idea pins. And they've rolled out, it's actually on the mobile device as well. They've rolled out a ton of cool tools to make the content with. But what I found lately that's worked really well, remember I took those sections and I made them those little bits. I've also been playing with YouTube's shorts. Mm-hmm. And so YouTube shorts can be a minute in length. And so I've been taking those YouTube shorts that I've used, and I made those from Descript. I've already chopped them down. I chop them down a little further so they're under a minute. I take those and I put those to YouTube shorts, but I also take that same content. I put either an animated opening page or an opening panel like you would on stories, or just a static one that I made in Photoshop before that. And then I post that to Pinterest as well. And those have been killing it. And so on Pinterest, those little, they're called idea pins now. Having those, I'm getting all these new people who are subscribing to my my channel over on Pinterest, and it's just been amazing.
Yeah, I love that. And I love kind of the breakdown of all the kind of pieces that you're doing. So we have a question from Paul. We actually have a two-part question from him. So the first part is, it sounds like a lot of work. Any automated plugins? And the second part to his question that kind of follows up from that, and continuing the same theme, for the amount of effort you're doing, when do you make a profit? There seems like a lot of manual chopping and changing between platforms.
Yeah. So the thing is, with this used to be really, really hard. With the script, it's not anymore. I upload it, I export that video out, and it's done. And since I've already done it for shorts, it's already done for Pinterest. And this is I tell you, starting with a transcript and doing it from the script has changed my workflow. It is so much faster now. The only negative thing about these new idea pins and stories before that is that it doesn't give you a link out. Pinterest always used to have a link where you would click on it and would go to your site or something, and it still does. I mean, they still do. But for story pins, it only gives a link back to your profile, which I hated for a while. Did not like it. Didn't think it was great. I hope eventually they will give us a link out. But for now, building my channel makes a big deal for the other content that I put out there. The more people are following my profile on Pinterest, the more people see my content, are interacting with the ones that have links back to my site. And so it's been, and it lets me also interact on Pinterest a little bit more. So, you can't sell directly, but like I see a lot of food bloggers and stuff like that. Those people make a lot of money from traffic to their site because they have affiliate links or whatever. Okay. So they're using these idea pins to build up their following, and then they'll share like a regular pin that has like the recipe or something on it that leads back to their site, which gets them that money and that return on investment.
What are your thoughts on, I love it because Scott kind of made this comment, Pinterest has stories too. I had no idea. So do you use kind of the same Instagram story, Twitter fleet, LinkedIn story, Facebook story, Pinterest story across the board?
It depends, so like for this, the content that I have on YouTube, shorts are just video. It just goes up their video. On Pinterest, I go ahead and make, and I just tested it for a week because I was like, I didn't want to spend a lot of time. I just had a simple one panel, like graphic or video. The thing that a lot of people do, you can have up to 20 different panels on these new these new Pinterest idea pins. I'm still getting used to saying that. And you can actually go back and change them up to like a week, and they live forever. They're not 24 hours. If they're on the top of your profile, so people can see them. So that's the thing that's always attracted to me. I mean, I love stories content, but the problem is it would go away after 24 hours. Well, this lives forever, and I continually get traffic. Like one of my story pins or their idea pins has like 20,000 views on it now, and it's not been up that long. And so, yeah, they're really pushing it right now. And also with the new app, it's just like anything else. Now on Pinterest, there's across the top of the page has the different, people that you follow and their stories, and you can interact with them that way. So I'm all about repurposing. If it makes sense to do it, then do it, because that's less amount of content you can make. So I'm even thinking about taking that stuff and trying it as an IGTV, all sorts of things. So back to the original guy's question, the more that I can repurpose, if I can do it once, that's what I'm going to do. And it's a lot easier than it used to be. I'll tell you that.
Yes, I know. I'm a big fan of all the tools.
Right. Repurposing.
The one thing I think I want to make sure we drive home, to viewers is that like there is work involved, and that's across every platform. Like there aren't shortcuts. The shortcut, for example, is to use Descript and the reason there is because if I wanted to create a transcript of a video, what a lot of people would do is, they'd be listening to it and then they'd either be trying to type it out themselves versus the tool actually does a lot of that for you. So it does the automated transcript for you. So then you can take that and repurpose it. So you do have to put in some work in to whatever part of the process.
Yeah. And I think, the more that you can, and then you can take out the clips. Like I can just highlight that section in the transcript, hit export, and it takes out that piece of video. So I don't even have to bring it in to a video editing platform. I can do it all in one tool, export it out. I can make audiograms out of it. So Descript's a really powerful tool if you haven't checked it out. And for, being able to take those clips that you make and put them in different places. I mean, you could easily take those and put them to Fleets. You could easily take those and put them to IGTV. And getting that to be an automated process with whatever tool you're doing is, that's your own kind of workflow, where your platform is. But for me, that's what I've been really working on, because it seems to be more and more as people want to have this short form content. That's why these idea pins have rolled out on Pinterest. So like there's an article that my friends at Tailwind did. So like Pinterest users base has 475 million monthly active users, and they're getting Gen Z and millennial pin. Those millennials and those Gen Zs are coming in at record paces. So that's why it's kind of changing the audience, just like the other platforms. Yep. And so that's why they're doing this, because they see what's working on TikTok, they see what's working on Instagram, and they want that to happen on Pinterest as well. So it's really, really cool that you're able to do that. So and a lot of times there's a lot of TikTok videos that were coming over on Pinterest. Just like Instagram, Pinterest announced that they're going to kind of devalue, with that logo on it when they see the TikTok logo. But there's no reason why you can't download that when you're making that content and use it in those other places. Yeah. So I'm all about trying to repurpose as much as possible.
The other thing I used to do with the TikTok videos when I would pull them over to Instagram is you just zoom in just a bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And when you zoom in just enough before you upload it, that logo is gone.
Yeah. And I mentioned, these idea pins on Pinterest and the success I'm doing. So like I remember I mentioned that if you use those idea pins, it only links back to your profile. Well, I wait like 5 days and then I upload them as video pins, which are a different thing. And those video pins allow you to have links back to your site. So I'm actually repurposing those videos as well. So I'm not just leaving them for stories. I'm letting them sit for a while, getting all the engagement and the views that I want. Then I wait, and then I re-upload those, and I don't even change. I'm usually have a different title and something like that on there and a description, and upload them again, and I get even more. And that's actually traffic back to my site. So there's all sorts of things you can do with repurposing.
I love that. When you're doing a blog, would you do a blog to more than one board? Or would you just have your one board that it's going to, or would you kind of break down pieces of that blog and have it going out to multiple places?
So I mentioned I use Tailwind, and what Tailwind has is like interval pinning. And I like to go, since I have multiple boards, so I have a social media board, and I mentioned like I have Facebook, Instagram, all sorts of different kinds of boards. If it makes sense, I will pin that. I won't do it all at the same time. So I use this interval pinning, and you can do this manually, but I just do it with these tools because there's some people who are talking about tools and saving time. So I use Tailwind, and I go in and I have that one pin and I send it to my social media board. Because let's say it's about like, 101 ways to stand out in social media. So I pin that to my social media board. I'd post that to my Facebook board. I'd post that to my Instagram board. I would not, like I said, do it all at once, but I'll set up an interval and I'll wait like 7 to 14 days in between each one of those pins and schedule them out. And so that way it continues to come and gets that content out, because some on Pinterest, people can follow your entire account, or they can follow just individual boards. So some people may not be following my Facebook board, but they may be following my social media board. Yep. And by doing that interval pinning, I can hit all those places for those people who may be following the different boards.
And I want to bring up a couple of comments actually here. I've got one from Paul Flanagan here. So from a user point of view, I've searched Google and Pinterest comes up high in the results. So I go there and find a picture, nothing else. Ultimately, what's the point of Pinterest?
So when you click on a Pinterest pin, it drives you back to their site. So I'm not sure where you're finding that on Google. It may have just pulled an image from Pinterest, but if you're inside of the Pinterest, if you click on Pinterest, it takes you to the blog post. That's the thing I love about Pinterest, is that it's one of the only sites left, I think, other than YouTube, where it's about organic content. I mean, when you click on something, it takes it back to your site. Like for every episode I do of my show, I have a pin that's at the bottom of my page that people can save. If they save that to Pinterest and they click on it and somebody else sees it on Pinterest, then it goes back to my site. It goes back to my content, which doesn't, these other platforms don't really like. They want you to stay on there all the time. Pinterest is slowly becoming that way, where we've seen with Instagram with these idea pins. But for the most part, Pinterest still is built on organic pins that are in their ecosystem.
No, I think that's awesome.
And by the way, we have a comment here, Jeff, and if you don't want to answer this on the spot, not a big deal. So RVing with G was asking, let me find the comment. Actually, they were talking about camping gear.
Mm-hmm.
And, I could see that, for example, if they're doing a live stream and they happen to have camping gear
right.
as well as a pen, I could see that being very useful. Is there, I don't know, maybe, if you can think of a good idea, maybe of how that could be structured or how you could kind of combine the two.
Yeah. So, camping gear is huge on Pinterest. So that kind of stuff is, a lot of people think, it's just for wedding and hair braids and stuff like that. It's not. There's tons of awesome content on Pinterest. There's a ton of, one of my favorite boards to follow is like the zombie apocalypse. And it's all these survival gear stuff that they have, like picks and all sorts of cool stuff. So there's a huge camping element on Pinterest. And so what I would do is for each, if you're selling things or if you are affiliate of certain things, I would pin those individual products. A lot of times it would be like a a lifestyle setting. If it's a blog article, like on the top RVs to go and boondock in, like if you're just going to go off the grid, it's an article like, here are the top 10 RVs to use. That I would still make a great pin on Pinterest and say, you make a nice graphic. You can do it in Canva or whatever. Canva has some great ones.
Mm-hmm.
Easel has some great templates you can modify, and go in and have that and pin that. And then that links back to your blog article where you would have affiliate links and all that kind of stuff. For a live video, you could do a live, let's say you had like let's see if I have anything. I don't have anything here, but okay, here, how to make, a survival kit out of an Altoids tin. Cause I've seen these before actually. Mm-hmm. And so you could show you could either do like an idea pin of like each panel would be putting one of those survival kits together, or you could do a video. You could take a clip from your live stream where you're showing how to do this. You're doing a live stream, like the best small camping pieces of camping gear you can take. And this is one section out of your live stream. You could take that, make that a video pin or a section of your idea pin as a video and put that in there. There's all sorts of things you could do, but anything where you show how and like a DIY kind of thing, those will perform really, really well on Pinterest.
Awesome.
Love that. So beyond their blog and beyond kind of these building these pins, I know there's so many different options, from building out the graphics to using just your blog graphic to using a picture of the item. What have you found works, or is it really just vary from channel to channel, audience to audience?
Well, there's some general things like for video, it's just like anything else. You want to catch, you think about Pinterest as like, if you scroll through the Pinterest feed, it's almost like Twitter, there's all this stuff. It can really, and that was the cool thing about video. And it still is to a point, is that they stand out compared to what most people are seeing. I always would call them video pins. I'd call Harry Potter pins. If you remember in Harry Potter, when they'd open up the newspaper and there'd be movement, like there'd be like Cyrus Black and they'd be seeing his face and stuff. It's like that on Pinterest. So you want to make sure, and I've done a lot of consulting with people when they're creating video pins, is that you want to have action and movement in that first seconds of that video pin. You don't want it to wait and like something to come on the screen, because people are flicking through. So you want to have it explode and movement and color and all that stuff to get people to stop and click on your pin. So that would be the thing that, I would say would be the most important. Look at what, there's some real, and the thing about Pinterest is they love brands. There's no like icky brands on my social. People like interacting with brands on Pinterest, and they like interacting with businesses. There's some great video pins. I've seen a lot of, like Bailey's Irish Cream does some fun ones on there where you see like them pouring and making a drink, and it catches your attention really, really quickly. And so look at what brands are doing. And remember, it's usually, I think you can have up to 10 minutes or even maybe half an hour as a video pin. Nobody does that. It's always like 5 seconds to like a minute. that I've seen that really work the best. So keep them short, get them, give them a call to action in your pin, like, hey, click here to do this, or find out how to do this, or download this here. You want to have some really clear call to actions on your pin, both static pins and also video pins, but get them to do something at the end of it. And there's tons of different ways to do that on Pinterest.
And so I think the key point I want to drive home here is that, like, you need to plan out your content. You need to think about your live show, what your show is going to be about. And then, when you're finished, then you can repurpose it for other, into other things. So I love the example, like, about, for example, showing somebody how to make the drink. It's giving them just enough taste to where they then want to click into it, to then where they want to learn more about how to actually make that item. And then you have the instructions. So Arving with G also, by the way, has a question here. And this is, so Pinterest is for pictures to link back to, for example, their selling page, AKA maybe an Amazon associate account.
Yeah, you can have Amazon links on Pinterest. Last I checked, I'm pretty, you can have them. A lot of people, so you can't have direct links to your Amazon. Those don't usually perform as well as if you have it linking back to a page that explains it and has that link too. So you can do direct Amazon links. They don't really do well. You'll see some t-shirts and some stuff like that on there. Mainly it's going back to a site where they're explaining it and giving them like why you like it, why you recommend it, anything, then have a link to that from your site. They just seem to perform better because most of the time the Amazon images don't look really well. And if you try to use them, so it just, that's what I would do, because people would trust that site. Like, it's not just one click, you're back to Amazon. It's like a click. Okay, Christian really says that this is why he uses this and and why I like it, and click to there. So so that's one of the things that I would do.
So I have a question in regards to that. So, okay, so if I wanted to link back to a product page, say it was an Amazon associate product page, can I go in and can I customize the image that I can, that Pinterest pulls back?
Gosh, I think you can, because you can change the URL. It's just, they just don't do as well. I think it's because Pinterest knows that people do that. It's the same thing as like, if you're doing a download or a lead magnet where you're trying to get people to opt into your email list, instead of just like having it, click here and go to a form, it's better for it to go back to a page that explains why it is and a link to your form inside of that page. That's what we found when testing this stuff.
And Arving with G, like, get to know, like, and trust a seller. And then also you mentioned about linking back to a blog or a video. Yeah, definitely. Those are going to probably perform the best. Now, in terms of like image design, so, you mentioned Canva, you mentioned Easel as places to go do that. Where can I get ideas? Like, is there like some sort of secret place I can go look for different image ideas, or what do you recommend there?
I would look on Pinterest to see what it has. So I like Easel. And the other thing is it's, I can scroll through Pinterest and go, oh, there's a Canva pin. Oh, there's another Canva pin. And so the people go and they go to Canva and they throw their image in and they just type the text in. Don't do that. Take as a starting place and then use that as inspiration. One of the things that I love to do for both Canva and Easel is I'll put multiple pages. Like, you can hit the plus button and you have the second page. And then I'll have another template that I think looks really cool, and I'll put that one there. And then I'll swap them. I'll take like, okay, here's the text from this. I'll put the text here. I'll take that, the way they're doing that photo, and I'll move it up there, and I'll swap it out completely and make my own pin, but I'm still not starting from scratch, and it still looks original when it comes out in the feed. The same thing with Easel. You can do the same thing. Another place to look for inspiration is Dribbble, and it's DRIBBBLE. And it's graphic designers from around the country putting their designs in. And it's just, for me, that's a great source of inspiration, but Pinterest is a great one as well. See what's working and try that. One of my favorite people on Pinterest, her name's Jennifer Priest. And she has this story where she talks about, she does a lot of DIY crafts, and she was doing a lot of IKEA furniture. And if you know IKEA style, it's very stark and white, and the plain wood on that white background. And she was doing it was doing okay. And she thought, I wonder if I do it on a black background. And she did it on a black background, and it took off because everybody else was still doing the white, streamlined, clean look. And by putting it on a black background, it popped. And so think about that as well. So look at what your competition's doing and then go, okay, I see the cool stuff they're doing in there. How can I twist it and make it pop out compared to everybody else? So that was a really, really great, I thought, tip from her.
And I just dropped a few links to the items that Jeff was mentioning. So Canva and Easel and Dribble, and obviously searching the Pinterest results as well.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of really good comments here. Go ahead. Yeah. Go
RVing with G, it is Jennifer Priest. So like church, priest,
right.
Spelled the same way. So yes, Priest.
At the Smart Creative site.
Yeah, that's her.
Very cool.
Yep. Okay, let's go into a little bit more about video and where people, I mean, we've talked about kind of using Descript and breaking these down. Do you have some other options and some other suggestions people can use, you know, if Descript isn't the right one for them, or they're wanting to kind of see what other features are out there?
If they're wanting to make like video pins like from scratch, or even some of those idea pins from scratch, some other tools that I've used, let's say it's not from their live stream, but just like, let's say they want to do a promo little thing for their live stream. You can use a tool like wave.video. You can, they have some great templates in there. And also InVideo is another kind of online based video creation platform. You can try that as well. But I think the trends that I've seen, it's getting a lot more designed and more raw, almost like YouTube Shorts is. And I saw my pal Roger Wakefield in here. He's amazing. If you haven't checked his channel out, he's amazing. Yes. But YouTube Shorts, I still think there's a lot of crossover you can try using those horizontal. If you have some favorite Instagram tools like for making stories that you use, think about using those for making some of these story these idea pins and these video pins over on Pinterest, because they don't really advertise that they're those kind of tools because Instagram's way super popular. But a lot of those things those kind of tools will work. Some of my favorite ones are by Enlight, has some really cool apps like Video Leap, and they've got some other ones I can't think of right now, but they're really great to use to create video pins with. So just remember, keep them short, get that call to action in. Most people on Pinterest don't have sound, they say. I still like to have sound in case somebody does click on it, but you don't have to. So remember to think about how it's going to be interactive without sound. So always design it with people not hearing it. So I'll always put subtitles like on my YouTube Shorts, and I'll put them on my video pins as well, because a lot of people are just scrolling through and may watch the entire video without turning sound on.
I love that point. And that really should be a point that should be driven home with video across the board on social media, because so many of us are just scrolling with no sound. I know my husband is an audio guy. He's always got it on. And I'm like, go get your headphones. Stop. I don't want to hear it. And I'm the exact opposite. I'm going to scroll with no sound probably 99% of the time and stop on the content I can. I was on one last night, actually in my stories, where it was my friend Mia, and she had been talking, but she had her captioning going right there with it. And thankfully she did, because she was getting a shot or something, maybe her COVID, I don't know what it was. But she put up the warning that if you don't like needles, bounce. And I'm glad, because she had been talking, and had I not seen that, I'd have never known.
Liked it.
I don't want to be on that. Yeah. So, you know, it's one of those things though, that as businesses are doing this too, it's kind of that same thing where think about how people are going to be watching this and consuming that. So
that's the other reason I really love Descript, is because, you know, I mentioned that I take my live video, I put that on there, I get the entire transcript, because also I use that transcript when I upload it to YouTube, because I stream live to YouTube and they like to have subtitles. So I'll take that subtitle thing and I'll put it to YouTube, and I already have a subtitle done. So that's another thing. But also when I create those clips in Descript, where I make those clips for YouTube stories and for Pinterest, I'll also, because it's a transcript, I already have a subtitle track there, and Descript lets you export an SRT file. So as soon as I'm done with that, I take that, and I use Premiere when I make my clips, because I can drop the subtitle track right on top of it, and it puts it on there, and it's done. And so I don't have to. One of the things that kills my productivity faster than anything is, okay, downloading a video, then uploading it to another service to get subtitles, then downloading again, and then I have to go and upload it to YouTube or whatever the end platform is. And so having it all done at once, it's so fast.
Yes.
And it just is amazing.
And
yeah, it's funny because Christian and I just were going back and forth through some of this week of streamlining that process.
It kills it.
What tools we're using and getting the simplest and easiest method, because time is money at the end of the day, and we all only have so much of it.
Right. And just because, and I know this isn't part of the conversation, but the other reason I use Descript is because I can export just the audio, and it's a podcast. So, I mean, you think of all the things I get out of a live stream. I get my Pinterest content, I get my Instagram content, I get the shorts content, I get the long form YouTube content, I get subtitles for every single thing that I want to do. I can repurpose it on different formats. I mean, out of one, and I don't have to re-upload and download it and go to different platforms. Out of one thing, I have a podcast, I have a blog post, I have all this stuff out of one live video. And that's why I think live video is so powerful.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to drive home with a lot of this is it's about setting up systems. And, it may seem like, oh, there's all these different like things I have to do. Go through one part of the process. So for example, if you're doing a live stream, remember in StreamYard, you can do live streaming to multiple platforms. So you can push it out to, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn Live, for example. And then you also can get a download at the end as well. So if you want, just the audio file, you now have your audio file, and that can now be repurposed into a podcast. You can take that audio file, you can upload it, or even the video, you can upload it to, for example, Descript, and then you can then get the other pieces out of that process that you need. If you want to record video, for example, even if it's just for Pinterest, you could also, don't forget, there's a record feature as well inside of the tool. So it doesn't have to be you on screen. It could be you holding something up, for example, or, framing your camera to where it's filming exactly what you want. And now you have a piece of video that you can download and put into another product. And now you could even make those, a small like video snippet if you wanted to.
Yeah.
So
one of the cool things that I like to do, and this is, I know we're just loving on Descript today, but it's a very powerful thing that I use a lot, if you haven't noticed, is that when you highlight the transcript, it tells you how long it is from that highlight button. So I can go and like, if Christian's talking and Julie had asked him a question and it's a really good answer, I could highlight that and go, oh, it's under 1:20. I can post that to Twitter, and so you can see exactly how long things are, and it just saves so much time and trying to character count and all that kind of stuff is being able to highlight stuff and export it and clip it up and send it out to all those different places. So yeah, those systems are super, super important once you get them in place.
I love this. Zan popped in. He said, just arrived. So did Jeff say purchase Descript to repurpose content?
Yeah.
Basically.
And here's the other cool thing about and when we're talking about repurposing a lot. Like after this show, this is already going out to YouTube. And at least for my show, a lot of times I have a little bit of banter before I actually start the show. And then I shut off the show and I have a little bit of banter after that when I'm, hey, everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate seeing, Roger Wakefield here and and all this stuff. That may not be great for YouTube. And YouTube's editor allows you to, trim off the front and trim off the back. And what I use Descript for is I go and I can find that exact time and that time where I need to cut that out. And I can just highlight that part of the transcript so I can upload that to YouTube. So it keeps everything in sync, but I still know when to cut and I don't have to dig around for it in YouTube as well. So there's a lot of cool things you can do.
Yeah. So we have about maybe 10 more minutes of your time before we go into kind of our giveaway and some final wrapping up of some tips and stuff. So let's kind of circle back to Pinterest and really where people can begin to maximize their time and effort as they're starting to figure this new piece of their content strategy out.
Yeah. So if you're just getting started, I would start putting content there, start repinning other people's content, seeing what's working, spend some time in the mobile app and also on desktop. The cool thing about Pinterest and why I started is that it's super easy. It's simple and it doesn't take a lot of time. Once you get that, I usually start, have one day of the week where I just kind of make sure everything's filled up on my schedule. And now with Pinterest natively, you can actually schedule your content out as too, but just add it into your part of your process. Like if you make a blog post, take that extra second, and like Canva and Easel, all those have those smart resize features where you can resize it for all the different platforms. Go ahead and resize it for something you use on Instagram story, and you can use it as a Pinterest pin and drop that into your blog post and pin that. And Pinterest is a slow burn. You'll slowly, after a couple months, start seeing traffic. It's almost kind of like YouTube. It takes a little bit, but once it starts going, it really starts snowballing, and you start seeing people coming back, and you can start tracking people going, oh my gosh, that came from Pinterest. And if you've been around for a while and haven't used Pinterest, go to Pinterest and search your name or search some images, because a lot of time people are pinning your content and you're not even knowing it because you're not on Pinterest. And you can actually go, once you have a verified account with Pinterest, we talked about creating a business account, you'll put in your website and verify that. You can start tracking and seeing from your URL what people are pinning. And I bet you'll be surprised that people are like, there's some weird image that you didn't even know on a blog post, but somebody really liked it and wanted to bookmark it, and they saved it to their Pinterest board. So there's a lot of long-term traffic you can drive from Pinterest. So give it a try. Be consistent with it. Just do it, one day of the week, early in the morning, or my friend Peg Fitzpatrick likes to sit with her iPad at night and do it before she goes to bed. Whatever floats your boat, just try it and start pinning some of your content. Start seeing how the platform works. And I bet in a few months, you'll be really surprised at the results you'll get.
Love that. Okay. With that, on your Pinterest, when you're a business account, you claim the link to your website, so it will know that. But there are also things out there like Linktree and some of those others. What are your thoughts on using a service like that versus using just your website link that you can claim? Because obviously you're not going to claim the Linktree link that's going to have all of those links in there.
So the cool thing about Pinterest now is you can claim your Instagram account, you can claim your YouTube account, you can claim your Etsy account as well, because Etsy and Pinterest work really well together. So you can claim most of those. So I would go ahead and do that. There's nothing negative that happens. All it does is let Pinterest know and give you attribution that it's from your account. So I would go ahead and set that up. So that way, if somebody somehow got something from Instagram and pinned it on there, I would know it's from my account, and I would get credit for that. It would come back to my profile. So I would go ahead and do that. Linktree, I don't think they have anything like that, but I would just do the main social accounts and do that. I don't think they have Twitter on there. So I don't think that's one, but it's mostly all the visual accounts they have. But I would go ahead and claim every single thing, get that business account, fill out everything. There is a thing that you can upload to your website that it's almost like a Facebook tracking pixel, kind of like that. And so, and then if you want to start running ads, they have a conversion tracking pixel. There's all sorts of things you can do that are really cool on Pinterest. But I would start with just like claiming your website, getting a business profile, and starting from there.
Awesome. I love that. And I really do. I mean, I cannot drive home how much, Jeff has said, this is a long game. This is not, you're not going to turn it on and suddenly have mounds of traffic coming in, but it's that traffic that continues to come in time and time again.
And one of the things I do want to say, because I've had clients, and I know Julie knows some of them, is that I have worked with them, or I've, consulted with them, and I start, and then all of a sudden they get all this traffic. In fact, a lot of them, their number one source of social traffic is Pinterest by the time we're done working with them, but they're not converting. So it's almost like I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make it drink. So you've got to make sure, like, don't all do all this work on your Pinterest account and not have a clear funnel that when people come to your website, is there a place, if you drive them to that blog article, is there a really clear call to action for them to download your freebie to get on your list? Is there a really clear thing for like what you're selling or what you're providing? Otherwise, you're going to see all this traffic and you're going to see a really high bounce rate, because Pinterest will send them that traffic. And then, if it's bouncing, then it's going to kind of slowly go down. So you want to make sure, because Pinterest will drive traffic, but you need to figure out a way, and very, very clear on your website, that you can get those people to convert. And we're always optimizing landing pages and calls to action and all that sort of stuff. And so Pinterest really does drive traffic, but you've got to figure out a way to capture that traffic once it gets to your site.
Perfect. We have another question here. We have YouTube films horizontal, and yet a lot of these other platforms are filmed vertically. What format would you suggest on filming to upload to the other platform, aka Pinterest, Instagram versus YouTube?
So it depends on how much repurposing you want to do. So like for live, we're talking about live streaming today. Live streaming is always going to be this, unless you're doing an IG, Instagram, and most most people, you can't really save it easily, and there's not an open API for live streaming platforms to go into that. So it's going to be like YouTube style video. So then you want to crop it in a certain way. So what I have done, like, that's why I use YouTube Shorts. I have mentioned earlier that I take over. And the way I film my show, you've seen, like, when I'm talking, Julie will bring my face up live. I do that to my guests as well as they're answering questions. And that way I'll have a great way to crop them answering that question. A lot of times I'll have lower thirds. And what I'll find is what I'll do is I'll put another graphic on top of that. And so it's because usually when you crop it, then you're not going to get the right lower third, because it's going to be cropped off at the bottom or something like that. So I'll have something that I'll put on top of it that I'll just remake their lower third, or like a call to action or something like that. So cropping is the best way if you're going to do it from a live platform. But you can have it, up there on Pinterest as just like a video pin or a link to your YouTube as well. But those tall style Pinterest images just seem to perform better.
Perfect. I love that. Well, while we are working on kind of wrapping up the end here, I want to give everybody a chance to start to enter our giveaway. So you can start putting that in. I'm going to pop this up real quick. We are doing Puddles today. If you do not know, Puddles is the name of our mascot, the duck here at StreamYard. And if you type #LoveStreamYard in the comments, you will begin to get entered into the giveaway. We will be using the new giveaway tool, which, if you are a StreamYard user, you have access to by once you've got your stream planned. Then from there, you type StreamYard.com/giveaway. You set it up with the stream that you're going to go live with, whatever hashtag you want to use or comment, or you can actually just choose it to pull in any comment on the stream. And so we love this tool and love getting to do this with everybody. So we'll let you guys start putting those in. Christian, what do you have while I kind of get the banner set up here while you're still talking?
I just got a couple of questions actually here for Jeff, if we have just a couple of a couple minutes maybe. So we had somebody asking, so for starters, put in #LoveStreamYard in the comments. You only need to do that once, by the way. So if you do it multiple times, it only picks one. So just do it once. Jeff, just a couple of questions real quick. Anglia was asking, like, what is it? Can you kind of give just a real quick, 30-second, like, what is a landing page?
Yeah, a landing page would be something where you like, if they come from Pinterest to your website, if you have a specific, like, let's say it's a free, giveaway, like here are my top live streaming tips. Put in your email address and you'll get this free PDF. That's a landing page where it will actually have, like, here's what you get, here's how to get it. It can be as simple as, like, you can have a video landing page, like, hey, thanks so much for stopping by. You can have a video. There's all sorts of different landing page, but it's a specific, usually a really simple with some real clear call to action that has somebody do something, and it needs to really make sure it's optimized for mobile, because like 80% to 90% of traffic from Pinterest comes from a mobile device. So you want to I should have mentioned that a long time ago, but yeah, most of your traffic is going to come from mobile. So you want to make sure everything is super optimized and looks really good on a mobile device. Make sure you don't have any weird pop-ups that people can't see your stuff. Just make sure it's really clear on mobile.
And I think that's kind of something, again, that's one of those across the board now.
Right. Yeah.
Really, you just need to think about that on all of your social strategy content, that mobile is going to be the #1 source of your traffic.
And then one last question for you, Jeff. So what do you use to crop? So if you want to crop videos, any recommendations?
There's a bunch of different ones. I use Premiere when I do that. You can do it in most every video editing app. There are some, is it Cut Story does it? I'm trying to think of an app that will do it on your phone, but there's a ton of different ones. If you just search, like cropping in the App Store, it'll pull up some, but most all video apps will let you crop a video and export it.
And I use on mobile, I use Video Crop. It's literally just an app for cropping video.
Right.
You can do essentially what's called round tripping. You can take your video file, you go to one app to do one aspect of that process. You run your video file through that. It then gives you the cropped version of it that's saved, in that case, to your camera roll, and then you can do whatever else you want with it. But yeah, there's tons of options out there. Even, if you're on iOS, I think iMovie maybe even has has that functionality built in. So, you got lots and lots and lots of options there. Let me see if there's anything else, Julie. Otherwise, I think we're gonna. I think
I
that's it.
haven't seen any, so I think let's go ahead and pull up the giveaway.
Cool.
All right, guys. We're gonna draw the winner. Dun dun dun. I see lots of familiar names in there. Veronica Green, you are our winner today. And you just need to email us marketing@streamyard.com and let us know that you won puddles on Learn with StreamYard today, and that will get sent out to you. So congratulations, Veronica. Super excited for you to get your own puddles.
Fantastic. Yeah, I don't even have puddles yet. Do you, Julie?
No, I don't. But we've got something. We've got a package coming. I know that's on its way.
Very cool.
Yeah, I know. I keep waiting. I'm like, I've got my pillow, and I need puddles right back there with the pillow.
Yeah, and I know this has been really awesome, by the way. So congrats, Veronica. And I'm gonna just turn it back over to you, Julie.
Jeff, do you have any parting last final tips or words of wisdom for our audience?
Yeah, just try Pinterest. Just do it. I think the biggest issue is like when people think about like, oh my gosh, I got to create another image. That was the big hang up before. It's like, I got to make a tall, vertical image that, I don't have time to do that. Well, now with stories and everything else being vertical, it's already probably in your wheelhouse. So just do it, use that and repurpose it as a Pinterest pin and see what happens on Pinterest, and do it for like a month or two and see, just add it to your workflow and see what if traffic is going to be coming. I have a feeling it will.
Awesome. I love this. Yay, Veronica. Congratulations again.
Very cool.
Everyone, I want to thank you so much for being here today, for all of your time. If you, have just joined in late, you can go back to the beginning and catch the replay at the beginning for everything. We always have these on YouTube and Facebook. They live there. We have Christian. Are you with us tomorrow for
yes, actually, yes. I was like, hold on. I was like, what, tomorrow? Yes, tomorrow we're doing live stream reviews at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the StreamYard YouTube channel. And I think we're streaming into the Facebook group as well. But basically, if you have a live stream and you want us to take a look at it, give you some recommendations on things, whether it's equipment, hey, how do I market my live streams? How do I do, like, if you have like some sort of bottleneck or challenge, we want you to come over there, and tell us more about it so we can help you with that.
Perfect. Sunday, we will have the town hall with Gage and Dan. They will be keeping you up to date with any new things that are happening with StreamYard. That is always the place that we're going to make sure to announce new features. You can ask them questions. It is just your kind of Q&A town hall with the founders, Gage and Dan. And then Monday, I will be back with you guys with Live Stream Impact. And I actually have our good friend Jeff on. I have Eric Fisher joining us on Monday for Live Stream Impact. And that will be at 12. I have to go backwards. 2 p.m. Eastern time because I'm Central Time. So I try not to give it in Central Time because it's such an odd time that people are like, why are you giving me a Central Time? So I always have to do the math and think that through.
So I thought you were going to ask Jeff and I for the time because I was like, I don't know. So
no,
I don't know.
Trying to do the calculation from Central to Eastern Time. I know it's only an hour, but I got to remember the right direction. So it will be at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
So, Julie, I know we've got another Learn with StreamYard coming up, I think, in 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
I think is it June 4th, I think? Do I have the right date there? June 4th?
It is. Yes, June 4th.
Yeah. So next show, June 4th. More on that very soon. We'll make sure, we put out some sort of announcement as well when we get that show scheduled out.
Yeah.
But with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Learn with StreamYard. I want to thank Jeff C. for joining us, where we talked about using Pinterest for live streaming. This has been a lot of fun. We hope you all have a fantastic weekend. And, again, like Jeff said, start experimenting with Pinterest.
Yes.
Put some time into it, see what works, what doesn't. I mean, right now, just do the research.
Yeah. Think about it as just a piece of your overall content strategy. And if you're doing it right, you'll create that one piece that will create thousands of pieces everywhere. Okay, maybe not thousands, but probably hundreds of pieces.
Right.
It will create a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, guys, have a wonderful and happy Friday.
Bye, everybody.